Now, even though Paperhouse is listed as a horror film, it has no intentions of being one. At no stage during writing, production, or even marketing was Paperhouse intended to be a horror film, but here we are. It's mistakenly talked about as if it were a horror film, and it has been for years. Look at some of these reviews. Now, not everyone got the memo that this isn't a horror film, so why do some people claim it as such? Well, it does have some of the most frightening scenes that I've ever seen, and it also has one of the best underrated jump scares of all time, rivaled only maybe to The Exorcist 3. I am so excited to introduce this dark child's fantasy to all of you. Welcome to the HellBound Horror Show. Paperhouse is a purely unique film from the UK. It's not tied to any specific genre, but instead exists in a fever dream. You have elements of dark fantasy, a coming-of-age story, drama, a bit of young romance, and horror. The film's plot is cemented in dreams, and that explains why the film is a mix of everything. Just like a dream, it has many different emotions attached to a wild, almost nonlinear story. But to explain further, I need to talk about the plot. We open on Anna, who is drawing this house on a piece of paper at school. She gets in trouble with the teacher and she has to stand in the hallway. She's a handful, but she's full of life. She's upset because it's her birthday and she doesn't want to go to detention on her birthday. She pleads to the teacher that she is ill and that she needs to go see the nurse. She's trying to get out of it, and the teacher knows this. She says that Anna looks fine and she makes her continue to stand out in the hallway. Well, Anna passes out and she wakes up in a field looking at the house she drew. She then wakes up in a nurse's office where her mother comes to pick her up. The mom drives her home and they talk about how the dad is away at work and Anna's upset that he isn't around more. Mom claims that she got Anna a writing lesson that was supposed to take place after school today, but since Anna is sick, she can't go. Anna claims that she made the whole thing up to get out of detention. Mom is mad and she turns the car around to drop Anna back off at school. Well, Anna isn't a fan of that, so she grabs a friend and they play hooky. While putting on makeup, Anna wants to go play hide and seek. Anna hides, but as she's hiding, she faints again. She wakes up at the house and she tries to get inside of it. Police find Anna and bring her back home. The doctor is called as Anna isn't feeling well. Anna begins to draw and she draws a boy sitting in the window of the paper house. She thinks he looks a little too sad and she tries to erase his frown, but she can't. Well, when she sleeps, the boy is at the paper house. He is sad and he tells her to go away. He says that he can't let her in because there are no stairs. She wakes up, draws stairs, and adds a bit of decor to the inside of the house. Everything that she draws becomes a reality in her dream. She eventually meets the boy in the paper house and his name is Mark. Mark can't walk, which does make sense because she never drew legs on him.
Well, of course, I didn't draw you any legs.
Mark has always been in the paper house, and he doesn't remember ever not being there. Anna begins to feel worse in the real world, and as the doctor visits, Anna finds out that one of the doctor's patients is a boy with muscular dystrophy named Mark. Anna tries to draw her dad in the paper house, but she messes up. She is so displeased with her drawing that she crosses out his face. Anna begins to feel worse and worse, and as she becomes more sick, the paper house world gets darker and darker. The scene with her dad is terrifying and some of the scariest stuff ever found in a children's fantasy film.
Dad, come in, it's getting dark!
Anna, is that you?
Yes!
Blind!
I don't want to spoil any more of it, but I do want to say this. There is a rather large climax, and then the film goes on for about another 20-25 more minutes. Feels like the film tries to tie off every single loose end, and I just personally didn't need it in this story. I feel like all that extra pad time, all that extra stuff, really dilutes from the impact of the climax. So that's the gist of Paperhouse, and it's freaking awesome, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. There is some high praise for the film with a 6.6 on IMDb, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes critic scores, and Roger Ebert rating it a perfect 4 out of 4 stars. And it makes sense because there is a ton of young talent behind the film. It's the first feature film of Bernard Rose, who later directed Candyman. He is a master at scaring people, and he really shows off that talent in Paperhouse. The film was going to be composed by Stanley Myers, but his score wasn't well received by producers. It didn't have enough impact. A little known guy at the time, known as Hans Zimmer, you ever hear of him, was working as Myers' assistant at the time, told producers that he could properly score the film before the release date. So this is one of Hans Zimmer's first big breaks. Both Rose and Zimmer give so much to Paperhouse, and it really elevates the film. If you want to own this movie and you live in the United States, well, tough luck. Paperhouse was never released on DVD or Blu-ray in the United States. There is a UK DVD, which I own, and there's also a German Blu-ray and a French Blu-ray floating around, but that's basically it. Have I ever mentioned that you need a region-free player yet? The best part of Paperhouse is the dream world. Check out this one scene. The director never told the young actors that the glass would break, so the screams that you're hearing are the real deal. That's so messed up, but it's so effective. I love the loose dream segments. They make logical sense while watching each scene, but how they get from scene to scene is often a mystery, just like a dream. When Paperhouse gets scary, it gets scary, but there's also a warm coming-of-age story here as well. As a pure horror fan, I can appreciate the film even though some of the heartfelt stuff, it didn't do it for me. The scary bits, for me, was worth the watch. The film even made me jump at a well-earned jump scare. It's so good that it rivals The Exorcist 3 for the best underrated jump scare in film history. Paperhouse may not be for every horror fan, but for those who aren't afraid to watch a child's fantasy film that dives into the deepest repressed nightmares that you never knew you had, then Paperhouse is the movie for you. And that's all I have for tonight. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe, and take care, everyone.